Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting shortly. We're just holding on for a few minutes to see if we can have a little more persons logging in and attending. So if you could just bear with us, that'd be greatly appreciated. But the webinar will be starting very soon. Thank you for your patience. A pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this evening's webinar entitled Why Do You Need FIP? My name is Asha Baksh, and I'm the Finance Manager at Canning's Employees Credit Union. And once again, it's my distinct pleasure to be the moderator for this evening's webinar. So today's webinar is focused on educating our members on the Family Indemnity Plan, which is provided by CUNA Insurance, CUNA Caribbean Insurance. Before I introduce our presenter, please allow me to share our house rules. Firstly, please know that all mics will be muted throughout the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session whereby you can ask your questions. During the Q&A segment, if you have a question, please click the raise your hand button and your mic will be unmuted for you to speak. Alternatively, throughout the presentation, if you have a question, you can type it in the chat box and we will address it at the end during the Q&A session. Today's seminar is expected to run for about an hour or less, depending on how much questions we might have. And this seminar will also be recorded and will be uploaded in the library section on CECU's website along with the presentation. So without further ado, I take great pleasure in welcoming our presenter, Ms. Jonelle Williams, who is an account executive at CUNA Caribbean Insurance. Ms. Williams holds a BSc in Information Systems and Management, and has over 5 years experience at CUNA. She's handling a portfolio of over 20 credit unions. She also has 9 years experience within the insurance industry and is a licensed sales agent. At this point, I extend a special welcome to Ms. Williams, and I hand over the session to her. Take it over, Jonelle.
Thank you. Pleasant evening to everyone. Thank you so much, Asha, for that warm welcome. Before I begin, I would like to say a special thank you to Ms. Traballet for facilitating this webinar and to all the staff at Cannings for their assistance in making this event happen this evening. Thank you also to the members present for taking the time to register and join us this evening to learn about the Family Indemnity Plan with us this evening. This plan is special to me, so I'm really excited to do this session with you all. It's not just because of my job, but because I have felt the impact of having this product for my family. Right? When I was still in school, unfortunately, my father passed away. Sorry. Oh, I thought Asha was telling me something. Unfortunately, my father passed away when I was still in school. And thankfully, he had this product. And so I saw directly how this product worked for my family and protected us in that time of need. So this evening, I implore you to listen, ask all the questions you may have, and my hope is that you leave this session feeling better informed and wanting to ask all the different questions and secure your families at the end of this session. So before I go into it, I just want to say a little bit about my company. So we are Kuna Caribbean Insurance Society. Right? We are a member of the Kuna Mutual Group, which is based in Madison, Wisconsin. We have been the leading insurance provider for credit unions such as CECU and their members for over 80 years. We believe that insurance is for all people, and we are committed to being inclusive and understanding the needs of each and every one in each stage of life. Our mission is to create financial security for all people through a combination of products, services, and support. So without further ado, I would now take us into the presentation. Asha, you could just let me know that you see the screen clearly.
Yes, we see the screen.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. So today's session is why do you need a family indemnity plan, right? So the Family Indemnity Plan, or as we like to call it, the FIP for short, it's basically a death benefit plan. It's group life insurance that provides a level cash benefit in the event of death of an insured person and their dependents. This FIP plan is designed to ease the guaranteed financial burden created by the loss of a loved one. The FIP is an affordable solution for up to 6 eligible family members. Right? So the idea behind the family indemnity plan is that we wanted to have something that the credit unions could offer their members so that in the event that they have one of their close loved ones that passes away, they're able to get a benefit to assist with the different final expenses at that point in time. As I said, it's close to me because I've seen how this works for my family, right? There are various expenses, final expenses that are immediately added to a family on the fortunate passing of a loved one. So these are just some of the different expenses, because a lot of time when we think about that and when we think about, a loved one passing on, most times what people think is just about the cost for a coffin. And they might think, well, all right, I just get a little box or something that ain't gonna cost me much money, and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of different expenses that really are included when a loved one unfortunately passes away, right? So it's payments to the funeral home, expenses associated with your burial or plot, payment of outstanding bills. What if the deceased person, would have left behind some bills? Now, this is expense there to the family. Transportation for the deceased, transportation for mourners. Sorry, what if you have some family members abroad and they need to come in now for the funeral? That's expense, right? So depending on the relationship, you may have to fund that ticket and so on. And we know that is unexpected. So when it happens, it's not like we plan for it and we have all this money just there and available at our disposal, that even if we have it, we may not want to use it for this particular reason or so. So, you know, it's so much easier to have something in place so that at that point you could cater to all these expenses. What about clothing? Right? So sometimes you may have to, it's in terms of the deceased, you may not have particular clothing for them, so you need to get clothing for them. What about the mourners, the family? Because we know traditionally, we believe in wearing a certain kind of clothing for a funeral. We may not have that, and so that in itself is expense, because now you have to go and purchase clothing or so for your family members to be able to attend the funeral. And then the wake, again, traditionally, we know in Trinidad, we tend to have wake for sometimes for the depending on the family, so we may have it for several nights. And we no longer just do cricks and cheese and tea or juice or so. Some families tend to like to want to offer food and offer different drinks and so on. This is an expense because we're doing it on multiple nights and we know everything have increased, right? So to get the food and prepare it and have all of that, that is adding to the expenses for the family. And then loss of income. What if the deceased, that person, their income was significant within the household, and now it's an immediate loss. So now, you know, you have to cater for that loss at that point in time. And what if the person have a will and it now has to probate? To probate a will is actually, it starts from at least like around $25,000 most times. You know, so when it is you have to probate a bill, most time people are not aware of like expenses, how expensive it is to probate the will. And so that can cause a delay in family looking to probate the will and then be able to have access to the different funds on the estate that the person would have left behind, right? So all these different expenses, they add up. And the idea about the family indemnity plan is really being able to give you an option where you can put something in place. So in the event that any unexpected death should occur, right, that you're prepared, you're just able to go into Kings now, you make a claim, you get your benefit, and you'll be able to help that benefit that you receive will be able to help you towards all these different final expenses, right? And why should you get this plan? Well, peace of mind. You wouldn't have to worry about the final expenses for you or your loved ones, right? So all those expenses that I went through, at the point of a passing, I don't know if how many of you could relate to it or so, but at that point, you know, there's so much that's going on. If it is that at least, you know, finance, when it comes to the finances, you don't have to worry about that. That's one less burden you have at that point in time. It really makes a difference, right? Just knowing that, okay, you don't have to now kind of scramble, how are we doing this, how are we doing that? You go, you make it clean, you get the benefit, at least that burden is taken care of, right? It's easy enrollment for the plan. Onto the plan, there is just one simple form you have to take, no medical or anything, no medical questions or examination is required. You just submit the enrollment form with whatever other KYC documents require, and that's it for the enrollment process. Right? You make your one premium payment, one premium we're asking for, based on the plan option, and that will be able to cover all 6 of your loved ones on the plan. Right, we're going to go into the plan just now. The persons you can cover, you're able to cover all these persons. Insured spouse and parents have lifetime coverage once they're enrolled before the age of 76. Right, but we're going to go into who you can cover and all of that later on. But this is what the plan affords you. You're able to have all of these things. It's very easy to enroll, and it's a choice from 7 different affordable coverage options that you have with the family indemnity plan. Right, so these are the different plan types we offer. It ranges from Plan A through Plan G. It's for, as I said, one premium monthly you pay. With the one premium, you get to cover all persons in your family once they fit the criteria of persons you can cover, right? And each person is covered for the benefit to the right in that column there. So I'm going to give a quick example of exactly how that works. Let's say Sarah would have signed up for the plan. She signed up for Plan A at CECU. She has 5 of her family members covered under the plan. Every month she pays $52.80 for them, right? And then one day, unfortunately, 3 of her family members that she had on her plan got into a bad accident, and all three of them passed away, unfortunately. When Sarah goes into CECU now, right? When she makes a claim, Sarah now will be entitled to 30,000 because each person would have been covered for 10,000. Right? Now, although she was only paying $52.80, each person is covered for the relevant benefits. So at that point, then Sarah will be entitled to 30,000. If Sarah was on Plan G, she would have been paying $528. And at that point in time, then with that example, she would have been entitled to 300,000. Right? So it's one premium, but the benefit is per person. And there's also a critical illness rider available for the primary certificate holder on this plan. This is available based on any plan that you would have selected. Right? So who can be covered on the plan? The eligible persons that you can cover on this plan is the insured person, of course. That's the primary person. You enrolling in the plan, you will be considered the primary person or the insured. And spouse or significant other, we do recognize common law relationships as well. And parents of the insured, you can cover 2 parents for the life of the plan, right? So it can be 2 of your parents as the primary person or 2 of your spouse parents, or a combination of the 2, as in one parent from your spouse and then one of your parents, right? But it must be maximum of 2 parents for the life of the plan. And the insured dependent children between the ages of 1 to 25. We say dependent children from 1 to 25 because the idea about the plan is that we wanted to be able to afford families to cover the children up until an age where they may be dependent on the parent. So we believe that at this point, the child is, as soon as they turn age 26, they are no longer on the plan, because now we believe they may not be dependent on the parent. And the idea is so that they can now take out their own family indemnity plan to cover their families, right? And differently able children, there's no age limit for continuing under the plan. You just will have to provide us with the different medical information and so on, documents, and they would remain for the life of the plan, right? Dependent children, right? These children, they will be covered up to age 1 to 25. Right? So as soon as they turn 26 as well, they would come off the plan. These are people, sometimes you may have someone that you care for, a child within your family that you care for, so right, so they're dependent on you. Once you have some kind of legal document to show that this child is in your legal care, then you will be able to cover the child as a dependent child on your plan. Right? But again, you must have some legal document like an affidavit or so, if it's some kind of custody order or something like that, just to show that this child is in your care. And once they will be treated like one of the biological children, where they'll be covered until they reach the age of 26, when they would come off the plan. And the process for claims on this plan, it's very easy as well. So what I didn't say is the kind of the turnaround period for this plan and so on, right? So persons interested in signing up for this plan, when you sign up for the plan, the coverage becomes effective the first of the following month. So today is the 14th of June. Let's say persons would, after this session, they're interested, they go into Cannings next week, and you sign up for the plan and everything, your coverage becomes effective the 1st of July. And at that point in time, you have a 6 months waiting period because of the fact that we have no medical, right? And then after the 6 months waiting period, you have full coverage under this plan. Now, unfortunately, after then, if it is that you have to make a claim because one of your loved ones passed away, this is the process for making a claim. You will complete the claim form at the credit union. You provide a copy of the death certificate, proof of death form, proof of age, ID, birth certificate, or so on. a proof of address as you, the claimant. You provide that as well. You have a year in which to make the claim at the credit union. Once your premiums, everything is up to date, and you provide us with that information within 2 working days time, you get approval from the Cannings will get approval from us, and at that point, they are free to pay the funds to assist for you to be able to handle all the different final expenses, such as what I identified earlier on. Right? So it's a very easy process for the claim, and the turnaround time for you to get the payment is, once everything is up to date like that, it's around 2 working days time. Right? So that is the gist of the family indemnity plan. And like I said, there's a rider on this plan for the primary person only, that they're able to access this to get critical illness coverage. Right? The coverage options that they have is between an option of 50,000 and 100,000. And the critical illness covered is cancer, heart attack, paralysis, major burns, and stroke. In comparison to the family indemnity plan, which is a death benefit plan, this one is a living benefit, right? Because the idea behind this is to be able to give you the opportunity to have coverage, critical illness coverage, so that if it is that you are unfortunately diagnosed with any of the critical illnesses, you can make the claim to get the benefit to be able to assist you help you recover from whatever critical illness that you would have been diagnosed with. Right? The rider is available on any of the plans, any of the plan types that you select. Again, it's available to the primary person only. And for this rider, you must enroll before the age of 60, and coverage terminates upon the age of 75. So as soon as you turn 75, the coverage under this particular rider would end. And again, it's an option between 50,000 and 100,000 benefit. It's a one-time benefit payment upon diagnosis of any of the covered critical illnesses. So in the event that you have this rider and you are diagnosed with any of the critical illness, you make the claim, you get the benefit, and then that rider, the coverage, everything ends on that. It's a one-time payment, and then it will end. Right? Under the rider, there's also a 6-month waiting period. Right? So during this 6 months waiting period, as I said with the FIP, during that waiting period, you're not, if anything should happen, if any of the covered critical illnesses were to be diagnosed to you as a primary person, then you would not be entitled to the benefit unless the diagnosis was caused by accident. So if it was caused by accident, then you would be entitled to it. Right? So under the FIP, we have the 6-month waiting period as well, where during that first 6 months waiting period, if any of the covered persons should pass away, you're not entitled to any of the benefits, right? Now, if it is that any of the persons should pass away during the first 6 months and it's by accident, then you will still be paid the benefit. Right? Once the 6-month waiting period has ended for the FIP or for the rider, then full coverage is extended to the covered persons. Under the rider, right, no coverage for pre-existing conditions for which there's no coverage for any pre-existing conditions. So under this particular benefit, when you're enrolling for it, if it is you identify any pre-existing condition, there's no coverage extended for that particular condition that you would have identified if it is that you are diagnosed with that particular critical illness. Right? So there's just a pre-existing condition on that particular rider there. And there's a benefit on this rider where if the person, the primary insured, would have passed away while this rider was still in effect, we will refund all the premiums that you would have paid for this rider while you had it inactive. Right? So you pass away before making any claim or anything like that. Yes, the FIP will kick in, the family will get that benefit, and then they'll be refunded all the premiums you paid under this rider. And these are what the premiums look like for the rider. Again, it's an option of 50,000 and 100,000 coverage. That's the age band on the premiums. So depending on your age and the coverage amount you want to get, these are the premiums that you will now have to pay, which will be added to your FIP, and that will amount to your total premium that you would pay. Right, and again, these are the five critical illnesses that we offer under this rider. It's cancer, heart attack, stroke, paralysis, and major burns. And that brings us to the end of the rider and the FIP. And now I would open the floor for questions. Hope I didn't go too fast.
Okay, thanks, Janelle. I'm seeing
Yeah.
that we have someone raising their hand there, Herman Joseph. But firstly, we have a question in the chat. It's from Suzanne. She says,
Yes.
can you insure your parents at a later date, as my parents are already covered on another plan? That's the first question.
Could you insure your parents at a later date?
Yes, because she's saying as her parents are already covered on another plan.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I understand her question clearly. So if it is that your parents are already covered on a plan, but you want to transfer them to your plan, yes, you can do that. Right. There's a process to have the plan transferred. Basically, your parents have to make sure that wherever they have the plan, it's up to date. And then they will submit a letter to the particular institution they have the plan with, stating that they wish to have their plan coverage transferred to their daughter's plan or son's plan, whatever, at whatever credit union with immediate effect. And now within the same month, wherever the child has the plan now, they do it a similar letter stating that they're transferring the coverage from that credit union to this credit union. The relevant child would also be required to do a form at the credit union adding the parents. Everything is done within the same month too. If the plan type remains the same from the plan type that the parents had previously to what the child has now, there's no new waiting period. But if there's a difference in the plan type, then the parents will now have to redo a 6-month waiting period. I hope that was did I touch on correctly on the question?
Well, I would like Suzanne to probably, Suzanne, would you like to speak on the mic so that you're able to explain the situation better, just to make sure that we covered the question and concern that you had? Java, could you unmute your mic? Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to find out if I don't want to transfer right now. I'd prefer at a later time. I want to continue. My parents want to continue doing their thing on their own plan, but at a later time they may stop, and I want to know if at that time I could then put my parents on.
Yes, once you do the scenario I just gave, once you do both transactions within the same month for it to work as a transfer, you do it within the same month, and make sure that you have your parents do it before they should reach 76, that's the cutoff age, and we don't want in case of any kind of issues or so. So ideally, if you could let them have the transfer done before the age of 76.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's one other question I put up, was that can we do annual payments?
No.
Annual premium payments.
The plan was really designed for us to accommodate monthly premiums. Now you can submit the premiums annually, and the credit union would receive the same, and they could just identify it as. They could send it across and identify it as. So yes, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it.
Janelle, I want to ask a question too. In the situation that Suzanne mentioned, right?
Right.
Would there be a 6-month waiting period after you transfer? She makes that transfer?
Right. So once the plan type, so the parents' plan type that they are currently on, and and Susan's plan type that she's on, that the parents are transferring on to, once they are the same, there will be no 6-month waiting period. If the plan types are different, then the parents will have to redo a 6-month waiting period. Which is why I said, just to be mindful that they should have the transfer done before the parents turn 76 as well.
Okay, noted. I'm seeing Herman Joseph. He's raising his hand. So I'm guessing, Darrell, could you unmute his mic so he can speak?
Pleasant good evening. Pleasant good evening, panel.
Hi.
Interesting. Although I'm in the plan, I still want to, be updated on this.
Okay.
My question is on the critical rider. I
Mhm.
forget the tier bracket of the age and the amount, but I saw where you have like probably like age bracket. Let's say from 20 to 25,
Mhm.
you pay a particular amount. Let's say it's
Mhm.
$10, and then
Mhm.
it says while it goes to the age. What I'm asking is let's say a person joined at age 25,
Mhm.
is that that monthly
If it
being
increases as you
deducted?
get older,
Yes,
no,
correct.
no. So whatever you would have started it with, that's what you're gonna pay to the until the plan terminates, or if you terminate the plan.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks much.
Welcome.
Okay, I see in Katia and Pascal. She has a question.
Yes.
Darrell, could you unmute her mic, please? Katia?
Hello.
Hi, Miss Pascal.
Hey, good evening. My question is for the FIP. If you have is only persons living in Trinidad could be covered in the plan, or they could be living abroad.
Once
Well,
they're
your
national,
parents, I think.
yeah, they are national of here.
No, actually, my father born in St. Vincent. He was living in Trinidad for some time, but now he's in Canada, and I have him covered on. Well, I have him on the plan.
You
So I
have
want
him
to
on the
find.
plan, yeah. So you have him covered on your plan right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So persons now taking it out, like the primary person, they will need to be a national from here, but the parents or so, you can cover your parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have any questions, you could put it in the chat or you could raise your hands. Janelle, one thing that I'm not sure if you've mentioned, but with the CI rider, I think it's a good product to have, because what people tend to forget is that sometimes things can happen to you and you're living and then you lose income and things like that, right? I think one of the good things about this plan is that even though you would be able to make a claim on the CI rider, your FIP will continue, even
Correct.
though, right. Also, what I wanted to find out, do you need to do a medical for the CI rider coverage?
No, no medical is required. You just have to answer certain medical questions. That will be on the form, enrollment form itself, but no medical is required.
Which is pretty good, because other insurance companies tend to ask you
Correct,
for
especially to
medicals.
get access to critical illness coverage. Most of them require medical. And what is so good about our critical illness plans as well is that normally if somebody would have been diagnosed previously with a critical illness, it's very difficult for them to get critical illness coverage with insurance companies, because of the fact that they had this previous diagnosis. But we would still be able to offer the plan to you with the rider. We just, like, for example, let's say someone was diagnosed with cancer previously, we just would say that you wouldn't be able to get coverage on cancer, but you get coverage for the other critical illnesses.
Okay, so that's what you were speaking about, pre-existing conditions at the time.
Well, pre-existing conditions at the time would mean that, you identify the pre-existing condition, so that if it is that, let's say, for example, you already identified to us that you have diabetes or so, and then later on, unfortunately, you are diagnosed with a stroke, and on the medical forms and so on, when they reviewing the claim, it shows that the stroke was a direct result of the diabetes. That is considered a pre-existing condition, because that is something that you would have already identified that you had. So you would not be entitled to the benefit in that essence. So pre-existing condition talks about any kind of diagnosis or consultation, any kind of thing like that that you already identified to us. And once it is a direct result of that information, then you're not entitled to it.
Okay, good. So I guess that's just being subjective to the proper underwriting process, because I think that's the case with most plans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? A member, oh yes, Miss Crystal Tang, I believe. Crystal, you want to ask a question?
Hey, afternoon.
Afternoon.
So my question is, could I add or delete people from the plan after, say, I've already signed up my husband and myself?
Yes. So you can add or remove persons from the plan. Just be guided by the criteria of persons you can cover. So in particular, when it comes to parents, you're entitled to 2 parents for the lifetime of the plan. So in deleting or adding, also, if you already had 2 parents, you can't now, even if you have room to add someone else, you already had 2 parents, you can't add another, for whatever reason. Let's say, you can't add another parent.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, like let's say you already had your 2 parents and you got married and you now want to add your spouse parents, you wouldn't be able to add another parent.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the meantime, while we let the other persons think about what questions they might have, I just wanted to ask for clarification. What happens if the insured dies? What happens to the persons who are covered in the plan? Like, could they have an opportunity to extend coverage on their own plan?
Yes, so the plan doesn't have to terminate if the primary person passes away. So you're allowed to continue the plan once the family members have continued making the payments or so on, right? Whether it's within particular institutions, some institutions require you to have one of the surviving members join, become a member, so that the plan can continue. And once you're making the payments, everything will continue. So.
And in that situation, would that person have to go through a 6-month waiting period?
Well, once it depends on the time. So once, okay, so the primary person would have passed away, right? They wouldn't have to redo the 6-month waiting period if it is that, they do everything. No, when I said that but it depends on the institution as well, right? So some institutions will require one of the surviving members to now join and become a member for you to continue it at that particular institution, right? Once that happens or so, and the process, everything is done pretty smoothly, like let's say it's an issue of the surviving members allowed to continue it, and they're kind of doing a transfer into that person's name. And once it's done within that same time frame of the deceased person, you're doing the transferring, no waiting period is required. If it is that you have to transfer to another institution or so, and everything happens within that same point in time as well, no 6-month waiting period will be required for the surviving members to redo. Right now, let's say the person would have passed away and the payments weren't being made or so, or they now have to transfer it over to one of the surviving members' name, or they have to transfer it to another institution, and that doesn't done at the same point in time, but it's done a few months later or something like that, and for some reason then the previous cert would have terminated, then now, you know, the family members will be required to re-enroll and redo the 6 months waiting period. So it doesn't have to have a waiting period. It just really depends on the time that the family would look to continue that process, to continue the plan.
Okay, noted. So do we have any other questions from our members? One of the things I felt was interesting that you said is, and you could correct me if I misunderstood, the part where with the CI rider, in the event that the member does not make a claim and they have been paying premiums, right? If that person passes away, then the premiums is refunded with the death claim. Is that correct?
Yes. So the family would have the FIP, and then the primary person is the person that would have passed away, and they had the rider in effect. The FIP would kick in, and the family would get the death benefit, and then they would also be refunded all the premiums that they paid, that the member would have been paying for that rider. They would be refunded all the premiums once the rider was still in effect.
Yes, I think that's a very good part built into the policy itself, because to my knowledge, you don't really get that with other critical illness plans. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's really good. And the reason why I'm centering more around the critical illness part is because just like you, I had personal experiences too, where my relatives, you know, it took ill, young people in their 40s. And you know, because of that, not being able to work and having to be the sole breadwinner in a family, and then you don't know how you're going to take care of your children, it really puts you on the spot. So just to excuse me, just to encourage our members, you know, just be mindful that the critical illness rider is a very good product to also have. In addition to the FIP, it's a living benefit. So you just, not when you die you get the benefit, right? When you're living, you also might have a situation.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's me, like I hear some noise that someone is saying, but I'm not hearing it clearly. Hello? Asha, you hearing me?
It seems Dasha having some technical difficulties because she's stuck.
Dental.
Asha, you're breaking up a bit. All right, so while we wait on Asha, let me just check and see if Vanessa, you seen any other questions, you can call it out for me. I'm not sure.
No further questions. But I see Miss Keisha Devines has a hand up.
Okay, hi Keisha, you wanna unmute your mic?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi,
I
Keisha.
wanted to find out the two products that you mentioned, offer. Do you all offer any other products?
Yes, we do. So you're a member of Canning, so you'll be familiar with that, you know, you may have taken a loan from them before. You probably have shares with them also. I'm happy to say that those two products are also covered by us. So your shares has coverage by us, as well as your loans are protected by us up to a certain limit, so that in event of any passing or so, a certain amount of that loan is covered by us as well. So we have those two products, as well as the family indemnity, this critical illness rider, and we have a product tied to loans as well, called the Advanced Protector, where you're able to get coverage on high expensive loans, so that's high value loans at the credit union as well. So those are some of the other products that we offer.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions, Vanessa?
No, no other questions or hands up.
All right. So I just wanted to add as well, that I hope the information I am leaving you all very well informed concerning the FIP and the critical illness rider. Like I said, the product itself, I really believe in it. I've seen it work for me. I've seen it work for others. I believe that it is something that would definitely put you in a better space, enable to that, you know, there's really a peace of mind when you have it, that you know that, okay, God forbid anything should happen to me or my family members, that, you know, we covered, we have this protection, we don't have to worry about that. So it is a really good product that is available to you in the credit union. So I urge you to really, you know, consider it for yourself and your families. I hope to see a lot of you reaching out and looking to enroll for the plan. Or going in for more information, or so you want to get more information, or you're curious, anything like that, I implore you to really reach out and consider it for you and your families. If there are no other questions, I'm not sure if we got back. Yeah?
Zarina Mohammed has her hands raised.
Okay, hi, Miss Mohammed.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
I joined late, right? But I just want to find out if it is, well, I already have the indemnity plan. If I should pass, how would my family be able to claim for
Right.
me?
Okay, so the claim process, like I said, is very easy. Now what helps in that turnaround time of 2 working days, I said, is once your payments are up to date, you bring in all the required documents or so, we give approval to the credit union within 2 working days time. At that point, then you're able to get the benefit from them to assist with the different expenses.
Oh, so I don't have to sign anything that whoever is my beneficiaries for that indemnity or anything.
You would have had a beneficiary listed. The plan itself is you alone on the plan. You have a beneficiary.
Oh, it's my husband.
You
My
have other
kid.
persons covered,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so normally once you have other persons covered on the plan, we pay in order of next of kin. So you have the primary person, God forbid you should pass away, the next of kin on the plan will be entitled to make the benefit, to make a claim for the benefit, sorry.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah, thanks.
For persons where now we say that you're allowed to have 6 persons covered, but the reality is some persons may not be, depending on the criteria, may not be able to have 6 persons covered, and that's fine. Maybe it's just you, and that is also fine. You can have coverage for just yourself. Once it's just you though, you'll have to identify a beneficiary so that if anything happens to you, this person that you identified will be the person that will be entitled to the benefit.
Okay, I'm back on. My
Okay.
internet apparently bumped me off. I'm
That's
taking off my
okay.
video because it might be easier to work with just the audio.
Okay. Vanessa, what if gave some of the questions? I'm not sure if you have any other question there, Asha.
No, I'm not seeing anything inside of the chat. I'm not sure if anybody else has any questions that they want to raise their hand and ask. Okay, well, I guess if there are no further questions, at this point, we could end the session. I think it was a very productive session, Jonelle. And it's a good refresher for those who have the product currently, as well as, you know, those who are new on the product to be able to interact with you and to ask these questions. So thank you very much for facilitating today's webinar, which I'm certain will clarify all these questions about the FIP product. Okay, everyone, at this point, we have come officially to the end of today's session. And I want to thank everyone for attending. And I want to wish you a good night. If you have questions, always feel free to reach out to us at the credit union. Our email that we usually use is info@mysecu.com. Or you can also check the information. The website will also state the contact numbers that we have. You can feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so have a good night, everyone. This session is officially ended. Good night.